Finally, after a month-long wait, One Piece has returned, and it is safe to say that the chapter is everything that we have been waiting for. One Piece 1087 was certainly worth the wait, and it is an incredible addition to the already amazing Egghead Island arc. Surprisingly, the entirety of One Piece chapter 1087 focused on the pirate island, where the wise Admiral Garp and his team of exuberant marines were fighting against the Blackbeard Pirates. The very beginning of the chapter saw Oda give us a glimpse into his past through the character of Branu. In a conversation with some other marines, he mentions how Garp used to train in the past. Oda also alluded to Garp's training with Aokiji in the past, which was touched upon in the chapter later. According to Branu, Garp used giant marine battleships as punching bags. Just by looking at it, one could tell that these marine battleships had been punched and dented to a point where they simply could not be used. While destroying battleships is not a big feat in One Piece by any means, the fact is that Garp achieved this in his youth without using any devil fruit power or haki. Garp ensured to not use any haki while doing this so that he could train his body physically, and ensure that he was strong enough to keep up with monsters such as Roger. At a certain point, 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚛, who went on to become a marine admiral later on, asked Garp to take him under his wing. Garp didn't want him stifling his freedom, however, 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚢𝚛 started training with him nonetheless, eventually managing to dent the battleships himself. This just goes to show the relationship that Garp and 𝙲𝚙𝚢𝚛 shared, and how Garp was really proud of having him as his apprentice. Sadly, in the current timeline, 𝙲𝚙𝚢𝚛 has now gone against Garp, and this is a feeling that he has felt before when his son, Dragon, ended up becoming a revolutionary, and later on, his grandson, Luffy, ended up becoming a pirate. His other grandson, Ace, also ended up becoming a pirate and died in the Paramount War. Eventually, Garp is a character full of tragedies, and Oda goes well and beyond to highlight that once again in One Piece chapter 1087. Regardless, he fights for what he believes in and his own sense of justice. In the current timeline, One Piece 1087 made sure to focus on Garp's fight against the Blackbeard Pirates. While they are strong indeed, none of them really stand a chance against Garp, other than Aokiji, who is Garp's very own student and a person capable of taking on the very strongest fighters in the world. Garp was able to throw Sanjuan Wolf into the water, defeating him effortlessly in the process. Meanwhile, Vasco Short was also useless against Garp, and 𝙲𝚙𝚙𝚢𝚛 himself was beaten to a pulp, even though he kept getting back up. For the vast majority of the fight, Garp looked very comfortable. However, now that he had rescued all the slaves and at the same time, made sure that all the injured marines had evacuated, he called it a day and decided to leave the island since there was no end to the pirates there. However, that is precisely where 𝙲𝚙𝚙𝚢𝚛 decided to stand in his way once again, and there's no going back for him from here onwards. The strategy shifted to escaping from the island and running towards the coast. The plan certainly seemed simple enough, that is, until Koby messed up and couldn't discern an enemy from a hostage. While this was pretty easy for the likes of Grus and 𝙲𝚘𝚎 to figure out, Koby simply couldn't read the true emotions of this person and ended up getting caught. At the same time, Shiryu was aiming for Koby and would have killed him. However, Garp decided to jump in the way and took the brunt of the attack himself. Although Garp easily beat Shiryu down after, he was already injured and took a fatal wound, which meant that he was weakened, and this gave the pirates on the island a chance to take him down. Not letting this slow the navy down, Garp ordered all his students to run to the battleship while he would stay behind to take down Aokiji and the other pirates. Expectedly, Garp ended up clashing with 𝙲𝚙𝚙𝚢𝚛 for one last time, and both their attacks knocked the other one back. Needless to say, Garp is not in perfect condition anymore after sustaining a seriously fatal injury from Shiryu. It is going to be incredibly difficult for him to escape from here, especially if Blackbeard returns to the island in the upcoming chapters. While 𝙲𝚙𝚙𝚢𝚛 is likely down for the count, Garp is still conscious and feels like he has a job to do. What exactly he will do from here onwards remains to be seen. However, the primary goal for him is certainly going to make sure that the next generation of the Navy survives. To that end, Garp will likely try to make sure that they escape while covering for them, just as Whitebeard did for his division commanders during the Marineford arc. And that's it for today. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I also asked you to subscribe to help us. It will also help us to grow more, and if you like, please subscribe.